The Colonel Abroad, a Sketch from Real Life by Anna Cora Mowatt. This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit Librivox.org. Recording by Kelly Taylor. The Colonel Abroad. A few springs ago, it was impossible to display one's gay attire in Broadway without becoming acquainted with the person of my hero, Augustus Blazon, Esquire. The reader, who may have never rightly caught his name, will recognize him when I call to mind an individual who usually dazzled the public eye with a bright blue or green coat, crimson vest, and a greater quality of jewelry gracing that portion of his breast in which Momus recommended a window, than would have shone to an advantage through one of Tenney's double-sized panes. So exceedingly slender was this gentleman that the cane, with its monkey head, which he invariably carried, bore no slight resemblance to himself, but the material of which nature had stinted him in breadth, she conscientiously returned him in height. He stood some 6'2" in his boots. His pliant form was surmounted by a head in which shape, I might almost say in size, forcibly reminded me of that most insipid fruit, a shaddock. Doubtless some malicious persons would add that the simile might be carried out and a comparison made between the quality of the head and the shaddock's contents, but far be it from me, conversant as I am with Mr. Blazon's own peculiar talents, to be guilty of the detraction. Augustus Blazon, when I first beheld him, was a man seeking his proper sphere in society. This he did not seem likely to find. His father was a shipbuilder, and had left him considerable property, sufficient, it might be supposed, to purchase the entree to that society in which he was calculated to cut a figure. Yet, strange to say, both he and his wealth were then totally unappreciated. He was a very ill-treated person, the butt of waggish young gentlemen, and the bore of fashionable young ladies. It was astonishing with what lack of discernment people of the haut ton declared that his manners were vulgar in the extreme, that he was uneducated, a booby, a bear, and those without daughters even went so far as to declare that his presence, in spite of his money, would be a disgrace to their balls. Augustus endured the horror incident upon this verdict, but one winter, after he became of age, he suddenly disappeared from Broadway, and for a year I entirely lost sight of him. The ensuing autumn I was standing in the gallery of the Louvre before one of David's most felicitous productions, when my attention was arrested by a person of aspiring stature beside me. His face recalled some face once familiar to my eye, but the long curling hair, in color and shagginess somewhat resembling a setter's, the bushy whiskers and sandy moustache so disguised those diminutive features that I could not recognize to whom they belonged. Upon the gentleman's arm leaned a lady, whose comfortable embonpoint recompensed the eyes for the lanky spareness of her escort. To pronounce the lady's beauty is a delicate point. I leave the reader to judge her attractions. A horseback ride on the Champs-Élysées could alone have given her cheek that exceedingly brilliant bloom. The most celebrated powder in Paris certainly must have assisted in lending those strangely regular teeth
Sample complete. Ready to continue?